Today's episode, I am joined by the beautiful, beautiful Cindra Banks. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I am always excited to be on the other side of the podcast microphone. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to our chat today.
Yeah, tell us what is your podcast and what is it about?
So, I have a podcast with my husband called The Relationships Show, and the podcast is all about bringing topics within relationships, sex, sexuality, and pleasure that are often perceived as taboo into the light. So, yeah, we generally interview people and also kind of have our own conversations about our experiences with relationships and all of that fun stuff. Can get quite juicy. So, yeah, it's always nice to be interviewed. I can just sit back and relax.
That's right. You don't have to think about what to say next or,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Oh, well, I'll be sure to link up your podcast in our show notes so it's really easy for everyone to go and have a listen to.
Awesome.
It seems like it, I think, how many episodes are you up to? You've been doing it a little while, haven't you?
Yeah, 78, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing it for just over a year. So, yeah.
Wow, what an amazing effort to put out that much resources and time and effort.
Absolutely. As you know, podcasts are amazing for connections and learning, like self learning, as well as amazing client resources. And they also take a lot of time and energy. So, yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I kind of feel like we're really in flow with it now. So it kind of happens, a little bit more easily than it did at the start. And yeah, we love talking to people. So it's always a joy.
That beautiful connection that we can all
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you introduce yourself
Yes.
a little more for the listeners?
Yeah. So my name's Cindra. I am a women's embodiment leader and a sex and relationship coach. So I work alongside my husband, and our business is called Conscious Couples. So we help a lot of couples who are at breaking points reconnect and be able to communicate better and also have more conscious and connected intimacy. And then we also uh, help a lot of women who have intimacy challenges. So that's kind of like our main thing. And then I do a lot of embodiment work. So I run embodied movement events and classes here in Newcastle, and hoping to take that on the road a little bit later this year. And I run women's circles or co-run women's circles and moon events as well, and retreats and all of that kind of fun stuff, and the podcast. So yeah, I do a lot, uh, and it's all kind of in the same realm, empowering women and helping people find their voice and pleasure in their lives.
And how did you get to this point? Because you do have a day job,
And
quotation
do.
marks, as well. Um, but you have this beautiful opportunity to have that beautiful, not balance, but I guess maybe it is balance of the both.
Yeah, I work at a surf shop here in Newcastle a couple of days a week, and then I also teach yoga, which I've been doing for the last 6 years. So yeah, I mean, ideally I would be doing my own stuff kind of for the whole week. In saying that, having a day job or having like a job where it's not kind of my own, do get to meet people, and I do get to learn a lot just from interacting with other people and forming those relationships, even if it's selling them a bikini. So, and I have met some wonderful people within that space. So yeah, it kind of is a bit of a balance, and it works for me at the moment. And also, I'm excited for the day that I can solely work for myself. And I'm definitely getting closer to that point. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I can totally relate to the joy that you can get from working in retail. My family has been in retail for over 50 years. And one of my first jobs was working in the store. And so many people around our town I know just because of that job. And you have your regulars and you learn stuff about people. And like you
Absolutely.
said, you have that connection. And um, it probably is just another aspect of you continuing and enhancing how you can communicate and help people in your other work.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can make, everything touches everything. Like I think you can make things mean something even if they don't necessarily mean something. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So for me, it's, not, I wouldn't say like it's a passion. However, it's something that I don't hate and I get to practice communication and practice,
Mm.
like selling in a way and really like educate people sometimes about different concepts and things that come up. So yeah, I guess I look at it as an opportunity to expand, not so much like it's holding me in this day job pattern, which I know some people like get really caught up in. Oh, fuck, I've got to go to work, and it's like, of course sometimes we don't want to go to work, but yeah, there is also like so many positives to it as well.
Yeah, I really love that idea of not viewing the day job or the source of regular income as a holding pattern
Hmm.
and plucking out what you can from that experience and those experiences to keep you going towards that bigger goal and that bigger impact that you're wanting to create.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, and I can't remember who it was, hearing someone on a podcast say that your job is your investor. And
Yes, I've heard that too.
I can't remember the lady's name.
I feel
It'll
like I
come to
saw it
me.
on like Jada Pickett Smith's like red
Oh,
table or
maybe
something.
she probably would have been on there. This lady, this
Yeah.
woman, she's pretty well known in the that space. Um, and I feel like it gives you the room to play a little bit, and you don't have to make things work. You can actually kind of
Mm.
try this and try that program and try this event and see what works without the worry of like the financial stress of like I've got to make this work. So I think it's really nice for people kind of starting out. There's like one camp of people that say like, don't,
Mm.
don't give up the day job, keep it. And then some people are like, no, burn the bridges. So I don't know. I think there's two different ways of looking at it, but for me, it seems to have worked. So
Yeah. And it's about that source of income can be like that safety net. So you can take the risks in the other job or in the other work and know that you've got that sort of backup.
yeah, definitely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell us a little bit more about perhaps your upbringing or where you grew up and how you got to this work?
Oh, so
Yeah.
like, where do I
Yeah.
start? I grew up here in Newcastle. I have lived elsewhere and seem to always pop back here. And my background, I guess, growing up was in acting. So I went to a performing arts high school and I did a lot of acting classes and debating and all of that kind of stuff. So I was very much a confident, outgoing, like human who wanted to. I'm a Leo, so I do love attention and I kind of wanted to make that my job. So I went to study journalism. However, university didn't really suit me. So I traveled a little bit and dabbled in a few like other career options along the way. And eventually kind of had a bit of a mental health breakdown, as sometimes we've got to kind of hit rock bottom to slow down and find out what we actually want to do. So when I kind of had that breakdown, it came to me that I wanted to kind of, yes, be seen and, be out there and use all of that confidence and create spaces for people and be up the front, like be the leader. And I wanted to help people in that space. So kind of blending like that leadership with really helping people. So I did a holistic health coaching course and was doing health coaching for a little while. Started doing yoga teaching and did my training and everything. And then, yeah, went on a bit of a journey with that. I had a yoga studio for a little while and had some other businesses. And then probably when I got divorced a few years ago, yeah, I guess I had another little, realization that I wanted to help women and I wanted to be in this space of empowering other women and allowing them to be themselves. Because I feel like my whole journey and the struggles that I had was because I didn't know how to really like be my authentic self. I didn't like have anyone, and definitely not myself, giving myself the permission to be my authentic self. And what does that even look like? And how does that work in like our society as a woman and all of that? So I feel like my kind of 4 years of really finding myself, as like corny as that sounds, but finding my place, I eventually ended up offering coaching for women and putting on these events and wanting to work with people in relationships, because I had the experience of, some great relationships, however, not great relating in those relationships. So yeah, I was just really inspired when I met my husband to create spaces for couples to come and work on that connection, because it's so important. So yeah, long story short, I eventually found my way into what I do now, and I feel like finally it flows and everything is kind of aligned, and there's this common theme and common goal that I'm working towards. So I feel like in the last couple of years, like I'm 36, I feel like I'm kind of like finally hitting my straps. So like, God, it's taken me so long, but also like it's just divine timing, like it's meant to be. So
Yeah. Oh, what a journey. What a
mm,
journey to get you where you are. Is there any way in particular that you feel as though you're pushing against the status quo?
absolutely. I mean, I identify as queer, and my step kids have arrived and they're showing me their Easter hats. Yeah, so I identify as queer. So I am in a heterosexual marriage. And then we also have a non-monogamous relationship. So I guess that is a little bit outside the norm, so you should say. And also, I think for a lot of women, it's not the norm to speak your truth, and it's not the norm to kind of like put yourself out there and say, yeah, like I do enjoy sex and I do value pleasure, and all of that kind of stuff is still like a little bit taboo. And the stuff that we talk about as well on our podcast and on our social media, like people are still like, our parents stuff like, oh, can you not post that stuff? And like, no, this stuff needs to be out there because it's helping people. So yeah, I think, look, in a lot of ways, and also I have always been a little bit of a rebel from a very young age. So in high school I cut my hair really short and got a nose piercing and started to get tattoos and all that kind of stuff. So I think I've definitely chosen that path. And also it's fitting, because I do kind of feel like sometimes I don't fit. However, now I'm just like, well, I fit exactly where I'm meant to fit, like I don't have to fit in. This is me. This is my fit right here. So yeah.
Wow, what a amazing feeling it must be to sort of have that realization and to be able to still push back and keep going with your how you want to live your life authentically. How do you explain, and feel free not to answer if you don't want to, but how do you explain your marriage to the kids, to the stepkids, or other kids, or other family members even, or the people that might question
I
how
think a lot
your
of
relationship
people,
is?
yeah, I think a lot of people were kind of surprised when we got married because they're like, what do you mean? You're like non-monogamous. Uh, and we wanted to, yeah, well, both of us have been divorced previously. So we wanted to do marriage our way, and for us, marriage doesn't mean it's forever. Like it's not a bound forever thing. It could be forever and it could also maybe not work out. So like being really open and honest about we really love each other and want to make this commitment and we want to do it our way. So like what does that look like? So I think once we kind of explain that to people, they're like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. So like we're doing marriage our way. There's not one way to do marriage. Just because it has been done a certain way doesn't mean it has to be done that way, all the time by everyone. So I guess just trying to like make that work for us. In terms of your question with kids, like the kids don't know, like they're only 7. So yeah, and we only have them half the time. So with the, if we do see other people, like it's obviously not when they're here
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing. So at the moment they don't know and they don't really need to know, like at the very moment it's not super pressing. However, at a later date, for sure, we're very open with them about a lot of things. And I hope that, sex and pleasure and relationships and all that will kind of come into that. Like we're very open about our sexuality and things like that with the kids. So yeah, but I think, kids can handle a lot more than we think they can.
Oh,
It's like,
absolutely.
I found my menstrual cup in the shower and they were like, oh, what's this? I was like, like you just explain it to them like straight up. Like it doesn't have to be like a weird conversation or like an uncomfortable conversation. They're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, my son is only 3 and a bit, and I explain when I have my period and my cycle. I tell him what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Curious.
There's no reason that we can't normalize this stuff. And I think it's really time that we do, because the more that we can be open and honest with our kids, the more they're going to grow up more empowered and they're going to have the choices and know that there are options and, know that everyone's different. It doesn't have to be what school tells you or what your friends tell you or what our limited sex education system tells us. It can be something else. So yeah, I think it's really important. And I'm sure that we'll tell them when time's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have a conversation? I'm sure you did, but a conversation before you got married about how you wanted your marriage to look?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
very much
even
so.
before you're engaged.
Yeah, we very this word just popped into my head. I don't really know if it's the right word, but we very much curated our relationship. Like in terms
Yeah.
of like we had a lot of conversations up front, because coming into this, I was very intentional of like calling in the person that I wanted to call in. I was very intentional about the way that we kind of developed our relationship. And I brought a lot of, maybe for some people, challenging conversations to the table. However, that paved the way for us to be able to relate in a really conscious, really open, like sometimes really fucking challenging way that, yeah, enabled us to set it up how we wanted to set it up. And I'm like, I say this stuff and I'm also not saying that we're have the best relationship and the perfect relationship, because no relationship is perfect. But it's been really awesome to be able to shape it the way that we want. So yeah, we had a lot of conversations before our wedding about how we wanted marriage to look for us and what we wanted to work on together. So having some like really distinct goals for our future and everything like that, rather than just like, oh cool, we're just going to get married and then
Yeah.
And by goals, I don't mean like house and kids. I mean like travel and, career and what we're going to do in our spare time and all that kind of stuff. Not so much like tangible, normal fence post goals.
Yeah, and that it almost seems like that might help with a bit of like the wedding come down too.
Yeah,
You've got
absolutely.
that stuff in place. There's no some people I've witnessed, they have their wedding and it's like, oh, that was sort of like the end goal. That was the end game from when you started the dating process.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah. I always say to people like marriage isn't a full stop. Like marriage is actually the start of the sentence. Like marriage is where it starts, not where it ends by any means. And same as like if your end goal is like a house or if your end goal is kids, like that is where the sentence starts. Like that's where the work starts.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. I hope people listen to that, take that in. How can people work with you?
So I have so if women want to work with me on owning their truth and really like embodying who they want to be in their life, I have an embodiment alignment program, which is a 6-week coaching program. So there is that. And then if people are in my area in Newcastle, then I do have workshops down here and I will have some other stuff going on in other areas soon. So that's that kind of stream. And then couples or women in relationships that want to work on intimacy. We have a 3-month intensive coaching program for couples, which is amazing. And we've seen so many massive shifts for couples in that program. And then we have a group program called Ignite Your Intimacy, which is running now. So the next one will probably start in, say, June. That's a group coaching program. So yeah, lots of options if people want to come play with me.
And
I like calling it play. It's like, because it is play,
it is, and you can but everyone's obviously different, so the experience that they have with you is going to be so different too. You can customize it to that person's situation.
Absolutely. I was talking to some people today that want to start their own like couples coaching business, and they'll kind of ask me about my sessions and what I do and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, every session is so different, like, because everyone is so different. Like, we have like a basic structure, but yeah, it's so different. Like I did a session actually a few weeks ago and we did a cord dissolving session, or I did a cord dissolving session with one of my female clients who wanted to work through some stuff with her ex. And it was a really powerful session. Like I did this meditation and it was just like, I picked up some oracle cards, I did the process and she was crying. It was all the things. Anyway, overnight, we had this weird noise in our wall. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I've like done something. There was literally like a wire in the wall that had started sparking and like almost caught on fire, like literally just in the wall, like right beside where I was doing the session. So the sessions can be like pretty powerful.
I was about to say you're quite powerful.
I messaged her and I was like, so the wire in the wall, I was caught on fire after our cold dissolving session. Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't need that wire anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. Didn't need it. It was ready to go. So yeah, there's lots of different tools and modalities that I kind of mix in to work with. And yeah, I love coaching because it's never just one thing. There's like always so much to it. So it's so much fun.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. I'm a healer, and pretty much every time someone books a session with me, they come and they go, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And most of the time I'm going, well, I don't know either. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty about being a woman, and I'm sure men too, but we can tap into that intuition and that flow and into that other person
Yeah.
to really create such a safe container for that transformation to happen. And it really sounds like you do that,
Yeah.
Eve.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I've had a couple of women that have come to, or a lot of women that have come to my events and they're like, I don't really know what this is or why I'm here, but I'm sure I'll find out soon. And I'm kind of like, that's where I want you to be.
Yeah, I love the curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Like something's drawn them to there and they're not really sure what it is. Because it also means, you know, like they don't have any preconceptions or like expectations. They're like really detached to the outcome. So it just means that they're so much more open to the process as well.
Yeah, I love that. There's
Mm.
no fixed, you don't have any boxes to tick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It creates, I think it creates space for an experience,
Mm,
you know, like, and to be present in that experience.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you share with us, I love asking people how their week looks and how you perhaps use your energy to have these different channels of creation going and
Yeah.
workflow.
Absolutely. So if anyone if anyone looked at my Google Calendar, they would probably have a heart attack because there's just like so many things and it's
Well,
a
you
little
said
bit
you've already been on how many Zoom calls before ours?
4 calls today or something, 5 I don't know, something ridiculous. And I have another one tonight. So like my week is very full and I'm probably a little bit guilty sometimes of over scheduling. However, I am getting better. And so Sunday, Monday, I work in my retail job, and that's kind of my set days every week. So I know that I'm probably not going to get any work done for myself on those days, you know, aside from the bare minimum. And that's totally okay. Tuesdays and Thursdays, my husband is home from work. So we work on the business together on those days.
What
So,
does he
like,
do?
what
Sorry
was
to
that? Sorry.
interrupt. What does he do other than the work together?
Yeah, so he is an electrical engineer by trade. However, at the moment, he manages a lift department. So he does that 3 days a week. He has like a team of, I don't know, 11 people or something, which somehow he manages to squash in that within his like part-time working week.
Awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, we work together Tuesdays and Thursdays. So anything from, you know, coaching sessions to making videos, recording podcasts, creating ideas and working on things like that. So there are days together. And then Wednesday, I work at home on my own and I do most of our content on those days. So schedule all our social media posts and my social media posts and organize my own events and women's circle events and have meetings and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I have Friday and Saturday off. And I say that loosely because I still teach yoga on those days, but I don't really do much else. I kind of just teach and go to the beach.
Yeah.
And I do have lots of events on the weekend. So usually like Saturday, Sunday afternoons, every almost second week at the moment, I have an event on, which is really cool. And I love, love, love doing events. And then, yeah, we have our kids Luke's kids every second week. So that is always a pretty intense time when they're here because, you know, adding in like kids' dinners and showers and homework and bedtimes to like sometimes client calls and things like that can be like a little bit hectic. Yeah, we make it work though.
Yeah. Working together with Luke, was that something that you always envisioned, or did that just come about organically through your work and through your time together?
It kind of was organic. Like we had started the podcast and we were doing that for like a year before we started our business.
Okay.
So I think we kind of knew that we were going to do more than that together. And then we did a coaching certification, our NLP training last year together. And then after that, we were like, we need to work together. So we just kind of made that happen pretty much in the following couple of months. So yeah, our idea was always to have like a main kind of thing together and then kind of have our own little offshoot so we can still feel like we have that creative outlet with our own stuff coming off the side of it. So yeah, I mean, it works really, really well. And after we got over the initial, like, what the fuck is working together even look like? Because we both work so differently, like so differently. Like I am very big picture. I'm not like a details orientated person. And Luke is very detailed orientated, and we both have very, very different ways of working. Like I'll punch out 2 hours of work and then I'll go to the beach for an hour. Or I'll do 2 hours of work and then go meet a friend for coffee. Like kind of like, but he's like, no, I'm here to work. I'm like working from like 9 to 5. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to the beach. I've done my work. So we definitely have had to kind of structure and really delegate roles and things like that within our business. So yeah, that was a bit of a bumpy start because we were like, oh, so excited to work together. Can't wait. And then the first few weeks of having that day together, we were just like fighting and like clashing heads, and it was terrible. So it's taken us a little while to find our flow with that too.
And I guess finding what your zone of genius is in the business, together and separate. So if there's something that either of you actually can't do, outsource or
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So we've kind of nutted that out pretty well now.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, to start, it was just like a mess, an absolute mess. Now it's great. We have a meeting and then we just like, write a list of tasks, then we're kind of on our way doing it all. And, we managed to incorporate like intimacy into our work day because that's really important for us. And I mean, it is our business. Like we teach people this stuff. So like, it's pretty nice to kind of be able to sneak off and have like little lunchtime intimacy session during the work day as well.
Yeah, sounds bloody ideal.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like, well, we've got to teach people about this stuff. So we need to make sure that we're creating time for that too. So yeah.
You're going to see the work.
It's work. It's work time.
Oh, you're on the clock. No.
Yeah.
What is your vision for having a bigger impact with this business and the work you do? What is your big goal and what you wish people and women in particular would know and feel and be?
I think the big goal is spreading our message and support kind of worldwide to like a lot of people. Like we have kind of grand ideas about like speaking on really big stages and about running kind of international retreats and I guess helping as many couples as possible in our business. And I think for me is just like I'm really about permission. So like giving as many women as possible permission to be like their authentic selves and also like be open to receive pleasure from themselves and from others and be really conscious and confident in that as well. So yeah, I have so many ideas, and I guess like part of those ideas is kind of like really making or having the financial abundance to kind of be able to say, go and do my idea. Like I have 20 ideas a day and they're all amazing. So please go and do that part of my business, because one of my like massive dreams at the moment is to fund a sex education course and make it like part of the mandatory like school education. So, about consent and pleasure and communication and like make that part of the curriculum.
Like knowing what your body.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
so that is like, that's a really big kind of like, I don't have time to do it, but I would really love to kind of start something. And every single person we've had on the podcast is like, yes, I really am down to do that. So kind of like make a collective of people that kind of want to build that curriculum. Like that's part of what I want to do. And yeah, I have like a lot of things that I'm going to do and I think just make a big impact, be able to be financially abundant so I can make a bigger difference and also just have a like enjoyable life. I think sometimes like as entrepreneurs, and you probably like know this as well, is like you end up working a lot. Like you do end up doing like quite a lot of work. So it's like, how can I, make a really big impact, help people, yet also like thoroughly enjoy my existence, like really enjoy like the life by design, what does that look like? And not forgetting that that's the end goal really for us all. That's why we become entrepreneurs, because we want to create a life that we love and that's in flow and that suits us. So I think like not forgetting that as well is like so important.
Absolutely. And oh, I've totally forgot what I was going to say then.
I'm writing a book too. I'm like actually
Oh,
almost finished. So yeah.
yeah, I can feel that you're going to have, or you already do have such an amazing impact. And it's just that ripple effect is going to expand in so many different directions. And like you said, you can do it your way.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
that's where all this work started.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's just leaning into that. And yeah, it's so interesting because I did this embodied movement training last year, and I was kind of like, oh, this would be cool. This would be like a cool add-on to my coaching, like for women. And it's like actually just turned into this like crazy thing where like everyone wants to come into these workshops. Like I've had 3 sold out workshops in Newcastle, and everyone's kind of asking about it and like wants to know more. And it's kind of just like following those. And it was like an absolute joy and a passion to go through that training. So it's like following those, like,
The breadcrumbs and
yeah,
those
yeah.
little,
And being open
yeah,
to that, being open to like, oh, this is actually going to like be part of my offering. Like this is going to make a massive difference for people. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to like lean into that a little bit. And then I'm going to lean into that and kind of putting that all together. And yeah, it's very expansive when you can just be open to following that, like the little kind of tendrils of interest and curiosity.
yeah, it's beautiful. It sounds like it can be busy and a
Yeah.
little bit messy as well.
Yes.
What do you do a practice for yourself to bring yourself back into you and back into the now as well? Not getting too, because quite often I find I'm really good at projecting and creating this vision, but
Yeah.
then sometimes I can get a little bit too hooked on it and
Yes.
forget about reality.
Yeah. I totally hear you on that. Sometimes I'm like 25 years down the track and I'm like, okay, just come back to what you need to do today. I go swimming in the ocean every day. So where we live, I'm about 15 minutes walk or, 5 minutes drive to the ocean. So yeah, I'm in the ocean every single day, rain, hail, or shine, winter, whatever weather, I am finding my way into the ocean. So that is like my non-negotiable. You know, I think maybe I've missed it 2 or 3 times in a year. So that's pretty much my non-negotiable. I do, I guess, like the usual things that you expect. Like I meditate, and of course, I have my embodied movement practice, which I probably don't do every day, but at least every second day, I'm like moving to like at least one song just to kind of bring myself back into my body. I go for like lots of walks as well, like along the water, along the ocean. And I also do CrossFit, which is a cool way that I like to release some steam. And yeah, I feel like it's just really fun and social. So like, when you work from home or something, you've been at home all day, it's kind of like I've been talking to people all day, but not in person. So having that little bit of like a social outlet is really nice. So I love my little CrossFit community. Yeah, I probably like do a lot of things like, yeah, we like to go on lots of like little trips locally, and I love going to the beach in my downtime and just laying there and meditating or like listening to a podcast and just chilling out. Yeah, and then I get quite a bit of like energy work done. Like I have a psychic kinesiologist, which I see pretty regularly, and
Wow,
some
what an awesome combo.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and some body workers and things like that. So I have all my people as well to help me. I think like my one opportunity I would say is rest. Like actual rest is
Actual do nothing, rest,
actual doing nothing.
replenishment,
Mm,
nourish.
yeah. So that's probably my opportunity, and I'm trying to build that into my days off for sure.
Could you explain a little bit more about what embodiment does? Embodied movement?
Yeah.
How do I say that?
Whatever. My course was like um embodied temple keeper, but yeah, I call it like embodied dance or embodied movement. Some
Okay.
people like freak out when you say dance, so you just say movement, they're like, oh, movement, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
uh
So what is it, what is it, the purpose of it, and how can it actually really change your energy and have an effect not just in that moment, but what it does for your day, week, month, year?
so many ways. Like obvious ways, I suppose. It allows you to be in your body, it allows you to be present, it allows you to transmute emotions and process stuff that has been going on in your body. It helps to release trauma that's been stored in the body. That's a really big one.
Mm.
I think it helps to improve confidence and to improve like consciousness in the body, therefore in your life as well. It can have massive shifts. So, like when I do my embodied dance journey, there's like about 2.5 hours. So, maybe like an hour of movement and some meditation and things like that. The ripple effects of that are like, weeks, days later. So, like feeling more connected, feeling lighter, feeling like you've released some stuff, getting clarity on what is going on for you and how you're going to move forward, like moving through blocks. Yeah, there's so many ways you can use it. So for example, the journey I offered on the weekend was called Permission to Pleasure. So it was all about, well, exactly what it is, but all about moving through like anything that you're holding on to that's not allowing you to receive and open to pleasure. So kind of like moving through that, bringing a really deep awareness into the body, like, and then contacting like the breast, contacting the womb, contacting the yoni, and really moving into those spaces, which for a lot of women can be like pretty emotional, and also that is where a lot of our blocks can kind of be energetically. So yeah, that was a really powerful one. And then at the end we ended up doing a bit of a free dance to WAP, which was so fun. And just to see the joy and the lightness and the connection that people can have just from being in a room of women and just moving our bodies. I think for me, embodied movement is the missing piece to self-development work.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I've done a lot of stuff, like I've done NLP, I've done coaching, I've done this, I've done that. And then the movement is like the missing piece, because you don't have to really like talk through your shit. You
Mm.
don't have to like reframe your beliefs and let go of your story and like face your trauma and move through it. Like you literally just have to move, and you can actually allow that stuff to like move through you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually so poignant that we're speaking today, because yesterday I was doing a meditation group, and I I never do them scripted. It's all intuitively, and we started standing up, and we started really tall and got grounded and centered. And then I was like, oh, we need to move. Like, we can't let this stuff stay here. And
Mm.
yeah, a friend of mine in our local area does sacred dance journeys. So she does it with blindfolds, which I
Mm.
love as well,
Yeah.
like full lockdown. Full-
Yeah.
no, release all inhibitions, and yeah, that it's really powerful. So I imagine your work is just as powerful, yeah, and amplified.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, the stuff that comes up and the stuff that people experience in those spaces just by like allowing themselves to move, like allowing themselves to be in that
mm,
space. Like yeah, it's huge. Like it can be so huge. Especially if done kind of regularly. It's yeah.
yeah, and I think you can sort of sometimes get to the end of the day and be like, I haven't moved my body, or like I've been sitting down
Yep.
all day or driving, and you've got all this stagnant energy, and if
Yeah.
you're doing that over and over, the build up, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
It can be
there
massive.
um something or a couple of points that you would love to see, to leave with our audience, and love to see women and the men too, but women specifically, what would you love them to do like in the next few days for themselves?
Dance and move your body every day. So I always give this homework and it's so simple. Put on one song and just move. Like close your eyes and move from a place of freedom and what feels good for you. Because embodied movement's all about, it's not about like choreographed dance or how well you can dance. It's literally just moving your body. So one of the things that I always share is shaking. So they're like literally just shaking out the whole body, like hands, feet, hips, booty, boobs, if you have boobs, like all of that, just like shaking and releasing can be like crazy powerful. So that is something that, yeah, I recommend to everyone. And I think the other thing I would just say is, checking in every day, like is my life in alignment, and feeling into like what is like a fuck yes in your life and what is like
A hell no.
doesn't feel good, like a hell no. Exactly. And you don't have to do the hell no's, like
Mm.
no amount of money or whatever it may be like makes that okay. So I think just checking in like every day, and it doesn't have to be like a big thing, it could be like a 2-minute process. It's like close your eyes, drop into your body and think through your day. It's like, what did I do? It was in alignment. Oh, that conversation was amazing. Like that work was really cool. What wasn't? Oh, when I said that thing, or like I made that bitchy remark, even though that's not really what I do anymore, and just kind of giving yourself some compassion, obviously. And then it's like, what can I change moving forward?
Acknowledging and accepting what has happened,
Yeah.
and shifting to be more in alignment
Yeah.
with
And
who you
like
are.
I love gratitude practice, but it's like kind of like goes like one step deeper,
Yeah.
It's like just checking in and always coming back to yourself and what feels good in your body and what doesn't feel good in your body. That because your body will tell you, as you know.
Yeah. It will come out in pain or sickness.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just keep it simple. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think sometimes people think, oh, I've got to like do all this work and it's gonna be so hard and
Mm.
I'm gonna go through the tears and the trauma and the pain. Like, yes and no. Like, you can make it easy. I don't want to say easy, but you can make it kind of achievable. You can make it fun. It can be playful. Like, let it be a bit messy. It doesn't have to be this like huge hill that you're just like, oh God, I'm never gonna get to the top, Like it can be kind of like whatever you want it to be.
Oh, absolutely. Can you tell us where we can find you so we can work with you and be
Of
inspired
course.
by you?
Of course. So the best place that I spend like the majority of my time on is Instagram. So my personal Instagram handle is at Cindra Banks, Cindra. And my business Instagram is at Conscious Couples Coaching. Pretty much all the links in my bio are there for events, for coaching, for podcasts, for everything like that. So that's probably the easiest place to go. I'm updating my personal website at the very minute. However, if you want to go to our coaching website, that's just conscious-couples.com. But just go to our Instagram.
And we will put all the links in the show notes anyway, so people can easily find you, connect with you, be inspired by you, and follow you and Luke. But let's just have a moment for you. Woo woo.
Yeah, I put lots of content out, like pretty much daily content. So
Yeah, it's all really valuable. And even if you don't take in the information and the knowledge for yourself, even just reading it and consuming it is going to help perhaps a conversation that you have with a friend in a week or so. So I really encourage everyone to take a look.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate your time and feel really honored that you are here.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. And yeah, definitely get in touch. And even if you just want to say, hey, ask me a question about what we talked about today, I'm super open to connection. So sometimes like a DM or something is like a nice way to get in touch. So feel free to reach out as well.
And it's a great way, I find, you're sort of starting that conversation, and the customer and the client can almost build their confidence in that connection with you,
Yeah,
and it's the first step.
absolutely. Yeah. So don't be afraid to message me.
You're very welcoming, and I'm sure everyone will be doing what I'm thinking and popping in your DMs. All
Awesome.
right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, lovely.